For what? The journey home.
Okay, just stop. Right here in the book, Frodo says one of the most endearing and beautiful things to Sam right in this moment here. And they totally cut it from the movie. Now I understand kind of why they cut it, because there's a bit of growing tension, especially at the end of the movie when there is this idea that is kind of reversed, and Frodo says, "There will be none left for the journey home." And Sam says, "I don't think there will be a return journey." And while that scene could still happen, and just note too that I'm reading this for the first time and I'm only up to the Dead Marsha scene, also subscribe for more of my unorganized thoughts as I'm reading through this for the first time and publishing a ton of video essays about my first time read. But anyway, in the book, this scene is followed by a beautiful little paragraph from Frodo and a lot of symbolism and themology running through it. It's just so good. But this is the full section in the book. "About the food," said Sam. "How long is it going to take us to do this job? And when it's done, what are we going to do then? This waybread keeps you on your legs in a wonderful way, though it doesn't satisfy the innards proper, as you might say. Not to my feeling anyhow, meaning no disrespect to them as made it. But you have to eat some of it every day, and it doesn't grow. I reckon we've got enough to last, say, 3 weeks or so. And that with the tight belt, and a light tooth, mind you. We've been a bit free with it so far. I don't know how long we shall take to finish," said Frodo. "We were miserably delayed in the hills, but Samwise Gamgee, my dear hobbit, indeed, Sam, my dearest hobbit, friend of friends, I do not think we need to give thought to what comes after that. To do the job, as you put it. What hope is there that we ever shall? And if we do, who knows what will come of that? If the one goes into the fire and we are at hand, I ask you, Sam, are we ever likely to need bread again? I think not. If we can nurse our limbs to bring us to Mount Doom, that is all we can do. More than I can, I begin to feel." Sam nodded silently. He took his master's hand and bent over it. He did not kiss it, though his tears fell on it. Then he turned away, drew his sleeve over his nose, and got up, and stamped about, trying to whistle, and saying between the efforts, "Where's that dreaded creature?" Now, this is beautiful and sad for numerous reasons. The first thing I want to note is the metaphor and theme of Lembas here. I love that it's used because Sam is essentially talking about how it might relieve hunger, but it doesn't really fill you. Lembas sustains them, but it doesn't satisfy them. It preserves life, but does not really nourish joy. Symbolically, I think this mirrors the journey itself. They are kept going, not by comfort, but by duty and endurance. But their duty is almost different from one another. And this perhaps is when they kind of get on the same page. Frodo, his duty is to destroy the ring. He doesn't know if he can do it at this point, but he is going to try with everything in him. Sam's duty is to Frodo. He is trying to keep Frodo protected no matter what happens to them. And this feels like the first moment that Frodo gives Sam just a hard dose of reality. That you shouldn't hope for a return journey, because that hope is going to kill you. And that he, Frodo, is going to Mount Doom, and he doesn't think he will escape. He will likely die. And so Sam, swearing himself to the side of Frodo, comes to understand in this moment that he too will die. And I love how tenderly that Frodo delivers this news to him, because there's not really any good way to let someone know this. But it kind of reminds me of the conversation in The Shawshank Redemption, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. It's a conversation where Red and Andy are talking about the music after he gets out of solitary confinement, where he got in solitary confinement for playing the opera music over the prison PA system. But this is the conversation that happens between them. That's the beauty of music. They can't get that from you. Haven't you ever felt that way about music? I played a mean harmonica as a young man. Lost interest in it though. Didn't make much sense in here. Here's where it makes the most sense. You need to do it so you don't forget. Forget that there are places in this world that aren't made out of stone. That there's something inside that they can't get to, that they can't touch. That's yours. What are you talking about? Hope. Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. Now, this scene is a bit different from Frodo and Sam here because it's almost the exact opposite of what was happening there, in that the one who has kind of no hope in the return journey is the one who wins the conversation. And Sam, while I don't really think he's come to accept it at this moment here, has at least come to understand what this journey will cost him, which is likely his life. And the time that has been spent on this journey, he's likely been just thinking about the Shire all the time. And he's hoping to go back to the old gaffer and his gardens and the things that grow in the Shire. But in this moment, he's been doused with a cold bucket of water, because Frodo says that they will likely die, in all but plainly speaking it. But again, Frodo does it with such tenderness. And I think I'm a bit conflicted about this scene because I love hope. It's one of my favorite things. But as the Brits and as Ted Lasso preaches to us, it's the hope that kills. It's easier to take on duty if you don't have hope. And it's that whole idea that if you have hope, then it's going to let you down. I forgot what war movie it's in, maybe Band of Brothers or something, but there's this one line where someone is terrified of battle and they kind of just curl up into a ball, and one of the more experienced guys tells him that he just needs to accept the fact that he's a dead man walking, that there is no hope of going home after. After he does that, he can do what he must do, much easier. Tolkien, being a World War I soldier, knew this. But at the same time, I think that that very hope will keep you sane. As opposed to what Red said in Shawshank, he actually tells Andy that hope can get a man killed or drive a man insane. Andy is telling him that hope can keep him sane because it's a part they cannot touch. I love this section of Lord of the Rings, and I love how, again, tender Frodo is with Sam, and I love the duty that they have both to each other and to the mission. But this is going to sound heretical. I actually think I'm going to be bummed out if there isn't a lament over the things that they could lose in the next few chapters or the end of this story. Because I think we see this in Sam. He seems to really think about the Shire all the time. But I don't know if Frodo has really done that out loud. He does that with certain things, and he does it with Bilbo. But I think this is also why Peter Jackson included that one scene at the end that I am, again, so curious if this is going to be in the very, very end of the book. About Frodo seeing the Shire and, Sam eating the first strawberries with cream and seeing Rosie Cotton. If that scene isn't in the book, I will actually be disappointed, because that will show that it really shows that they never lost hope, that they knew what they were fighting for, that the thing that kept them on their due course was the Shire and the things they loved. And again, I am beyond curious to know if that is in the books too, but again, my first time read, so don't spoil anything for me, please. This is the first section where I'm actually considering, obviously without full knowledge, that if it's not in the book, I actually might prefer a section of the movie more than I do the book. But I don't know the section of the book yet, so I can't really say that. Don't get on me in the comments for that one. But I just think that the idea of hope is so vital. It just keeps you sane, and it helps you know what you are fighting for. But it also is such a tightrope walk too, because too much hope in the things that you left behind, and you'll be sure to leave your duty in order to go back to the things that you left behind. But too much duty and not enough hope, and I think you're kind of just end up forfeiting your life. You just become a machine for someone else. Now, I love Frodo so much. I think he is the most incredible character in this entire story. I wish I could sit down with him right now and talk to him. I think I'd tell him that he needs to hang on to hope, because he needs to know that he is fighting to keep the things on this earth alive and well, and that he is fighting to keep the Shire the Shire. I know that he knows this because if he didn't believe this, he would be a flat character. But to crush the little hope that Sam has of a return journey at this point in the journey just kind of hurts. And I love Sam's response too. He's kind of deflecting, trying to distract himself with the idea of, oh, where's Gollum? But he for sure hasn't let this hit him. But he also goes over and grabs the hand of Frodo in a really affectionate and beautiful way. He cries at this moment. And this whole scene is just devastating. And I think Tolkien really hit something hard here. That there is a fine line between duty and hope. And these two characters are trying to navigate that. And I know I say this a lot, but this made me really, really excited to see what comes ahead, specifically with the idea of hope. Because, as Andy Dufresne says in Shawshank Redemption, hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing ever dies. I'll see you in the next one.